Hello everybody, Joe here with gardenofluma.com. Have you ever considered growing a loquat tree, especially for hot, dry climates like the desert? Well, today we're going to take a look at my loquat tree and I'll give you some of the tips that I utilize for successfully growing loquats. Let's take a look. Here is my Bradenton Loquat tree. And as you can see, it's getting ready to flower. You can see some of the flower buds popping out there. And if you've ever wanted to smell something incredible, smell a loquat blossom. They just smell so good. Remind me a little bit of lilac trees if you've ever been around lilac blossoms. They just smell amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. I planted this guy in fall of 2017, so it is about a year old right now. So I planted this as a 3-gallon tree, got it through its first extreme hot summer, which is one of the challenges with growing loquats, especially in areas where it's going to be over triple digits like it is consistently here in the Phoenix, Arizona area. So you have to heavily shade these guys in the summer months when you're getting that extreme heat, if you're in climates like I'm in. So what I utilized was I built a shade structure around this just by simply putting 4 stakes around the tree and an 80% shade fabric that covered it with a little bit of airflow underneath, so it didn't contain all that air inside of it, trap all that air inside of it. And so as you can see, it came out of the summer looking really nice, looking really green. And this was one of those trees that I was a little concerned about growing because I've seen so many people struggle with growing these initially. Once they get established here in our climate, they can thrive and do quite well once they're older and established. But getting them going the first couple years through our summer intense heat is a big challenge. So I'm pretty happy to see that this guy looks really healthy and green. I feed this consistently with fish emulsion as well as liquid seaweed. And then I do monthly during the growing season use Epsom salts. So I've heard that can really benefit with keeping the leaves green on these loquat trees. They do suffer with a little bit of mineral deficiencies in our climate and our soil, as well as like some of the high pH that we have in our clay soil. So that has seemed to really help and be effective for me so far. So definitely consider that. I also, as you can see, mulch quite a bit, as well as use compost on this tree throughout the year. The winter months, as you can see, aren't a concern. You can see next to it, I have my frost protection up for another tropical tree, but this being a subtropical tree actually can take quite a bit of cold for a subtropical. I've read things down to as low as like 10 degrees, but the fruit and blossoms will suffer when it gets that cold. But I don't do any sort of cold protection for this, and it does well without it. So you really want to consider your microclimate when growing this tree. It's going to need a lot of shade if you're in a climate that gets a lot of extreme sun during the winter like we do. Areas like Southern California, San Diego are like climates this tree really thrives and prefers. Those more mild climates where it's going to stay like, 60 to 80 degrees year round. Otherwise, you're going to need a good microclimate if you get extremely hot. So think about that when you plant this. Make sure you're planting it around shade, other trees, and doing things to give some shade protection in the hot summer days. Alright, thanks for watching. Check out gardenofluma.com for more tips on growing fruit trees, gardening in an urban environment, especially for hot, dry climates. Thanks a lot.